was the finishing person on The Drive. Who doesn't know what The Drive? I mean, one of the most storied drives, it's The Drive, the most storied drive in National Football League history. And I must have watched, I hate to confess it, but I was a Bronco fanatic, still am. I watched every game that he played in. This is a person who not only made it into the National Football League, and how many people do that? How many boys want to play in the National Football League? A lot. How many actually achieve it? A fraction of that number. So not only did he achieve that goal of playing in the National Football League for the Denver Broncos, he played in 3 Super Bowls. He was a leader on that team. He went into the National Football League, went onto his team, and became a leader on that team. But beyond that, he carried all those skills that brought him to that point in his life, and then he went out into the business world. He's had 23 years of business success. You know, you hear so many stories, and Tom talked about lottery winners that have nothing to show for it years later. The same is often true of athletes. They have this great career, and then they retire, and they have no idea what to do with their lives. And oftentimes that turns into, you know, bankruptcy and a misfortune and a road that doesn't lead them anywhere. Mark took his success in football and turned it into success in business. And I was reading an article, and I'm going to get gushy, sorry. I was reading an article the other day about how it's a different economy out there right now. Kids who are graduating from high school, they need to look at things differently than we looked at things. It's not a matter of going to college and getting a good job. It's a matter of finding a vehicle and marketing yourself and becoming something that's so different from what we or our parents, you know, what the path that they took. And that's what Mark's going to talk to us about. What does the economy look like now? What do we need to do beyond what we're doing right now that's going to take us to our goals? So I'm so excited to bring him up on the stage.
Check 1, 2. My microphone on? Can I be honest? We're among friends. We've been here for a few hours now this afternoon, so I'm going to consider us friends, and I have to. Mr. Shaw, I want your wife. It was a win-win situation, I thought, or a proposition, but I guess not, maybe not. All right, I want everybody to stand up, because we, you know, that's what we do. So, I want everybody to reach up in the sky, stretch a little bit. Now I want you to put your hand out in front of you like this. I don't want everybody to turn to the right, to your right, which is this way for you guys. I'm going to help you out. I want you to grab the person in front of your shoulder and just massage. Give them love. There you go.
Work it, girl. Come on.
All right, back to the front. Don't get too happy with that. Tom's already told you about that Amway, though. Hey, massage. All right, sit down, sit down. All right. You guys are right. Ready for this? I brought a key here because I'm an old cat. I don't have a structure like Tom, but I like being comfortable when I speak, and it's where my comfort zone is. So I want to first of all thank our sponsors, Tom Martino and Legal Shield. Thank you very much. We've heard from some incredible speakers this morning. Julie Hammerstein leading it off. Then we have Wally Long, Mr. Weldon Wally Long. And Les Jenkins with Easy Go. Pretty awesome stuff, right? Tom Martino once again. After me, but you guys get to listen to me right now. All right. I'm really humbled to be here, and it's a pleasure to speak with you guys. I enjoy the opportunity to help people, to move people, to encourage people. I felt like I did that on the football field when I played with the Denver Broncos. I'd love to sit here and talk for the next 30 minutes about the last Bronco football game. No, all right, no, he's like, no, don't do it. We had him. All right, how about let's talk about multiple streams of income. So that's what I get to talk about, that's good. So where are we now? Let's take a look at this. So right now, there's over 50 trillion or 50 million in 401k accounts holders that lost over $1 trillion in assets from 2007. So anybody have a 401k that's a 104k now? Oh, smokes. So what you do is you take, 7 years, 10 years of earnings and you lose it all over the course of 2 years, right? So that's basically where we are. I mean, since peaking the second quarter of 2007, household wealth is down $14 trillion. Now, I got all this from standards. I got my little, my teacher and my journalism teacher in college told me, hey, you got to cite your quote in your statistics. Less than 5% of U.S. workers will be even remotely prepared for any form of retirement. That's true. That's all really scary. Now, I don't want to go to the doom and gloom thing, but I do want to ask you this one question. And this is something that I didn't know. I didn't realize I was financially illiterate. So I've made millions of dollars. I've lost money. I've, like Tom, like everybody here. Anyone ever made money here? I don't care what your salary is, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. How much of that do you have right now? Yeah, I think we're all just broke at a different level, right? Be honest, right? We're friends. So let me ask you this question. I'm going to give you a quiz. So, and participation is rewarded. So, you accrue $1 million in assets by some chance, some happenstance, maybe through an opportunity where you can help people. You accrue $1 million in assets and you lose 50% of it. How much do those assets have to gain? What return on your money do you have to get from 500,000 or half a million back to $1 million? Is the answer A, 25%? Is it B, 75%? C, 50%? Or is it D, 100%? How many D's? 100%. D? Any B's?
C.
There's a couple B's there.
100%.
Well, let's look. So $1 million, and this is something I didn't get. $1 million minus 50% leaves you with $500,000. $500,000, if you gain 25% of that $500,000, it's going to put you at $625,000. If you gain 50% or $250,000, you're at three-quarters of a million. Even if you gain 75%, you're only at $875. To get back to where you were, not to gain, you have to gain 100% on your assets. Anybody know a vehicle out there that will pay you 100%? Anybody know any CDs? What are CDs paying right now? They should be DCs, right? Debt certificates. They're going backwards, right? So anybody know the rule of 72? So the rule of 72, for those that don't know, says that if you want to double your money, which is what we need to do to get back, if you want to get 100% return and double your money, you have to divide the interest rate that you're gaining into 72. So for instance, if you had one of those CDs at 2% into 72, how long would it take you to get back to $1 million? Somebody's got a calculator out there. 36 years. Everybody say 36 years. I don't have 36 years. Anybody have 36 years to get back to where they were? No. So I'm going to give you guys another solution. This is one of my favorite guys, Albert Einstein. I was working as Tom. Who does your slides, by the way? Is Tom? Where'd you go? Martino's got excellent slides. You notice the graphics? I pulled this off the internet. This guy, I saw that. Teachability index. What's your teachability index, and what does it consist of? There's two components. Now, I didn't make up that word, teachability index, by the way. I'm not as smart as Tom. Tom makes up words, and people accept that. You guys just roll with that. What did he say? The pragmatic prognosticator, pontificating on chronology, recapitulation. What did he say? Was anyone taking notes? Did someone write that down? You got meticulous notes. What is it? Perception. Okay. Here are the two components of your teachability index. Index, here's one of the ways, and I'm going to show you now how you can get back to that $1 million. The first thing you have to do is you have to be teachable. So you have to be willing to learn more things. I'm a lifetime learner. I've always been. I've had to be, even in sports. I was always the smallest guy. I'm the youngest in a family of five by 10 years. So my brother next to me is 10 years older than me, and then my sister's next. She's 11 years. My brother's 12 years, and my other sister's 13 years. And I always told my mom, was I a mistake? She goes, no, we planned you. You were a little later. Bad plan. Here's the two components of your teachability index. First is your willingness to learn. So what are you willing to give up? What's your willingness to learn? So I really want to applaud you guys for even showing up this afternoon because you were able to give up something. So you could have been out enjoying the weather today, or you could have been sitting in front of the electronic income reducer. You know what I'm talking about. The boob tube, right? Anybody do that for hours a day? I should have went on the internet and found some statistics on that. You know, how many hours people watch TV a day. But you have to be willing to learn, and then you have to be willing to change and accept change. That's a tough one. So you think about a guy like Wally Long and the situation that he was in. He was willing to change and accept change. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, our goal in our teachability index is to always be a 10. You want to be a 10 on your willingness to learn, and you want to be a 10 on your willingness to accept change, to change and accept change. So how many of you in here today are willing to take a leap of faith, trust me, and go to be a 10? Who wants to be a 10? Now, here's one of the first things you have to do. You have to accept this. The three most dangerous words in the English language are, I know that. Say that again. Say that with me. I know that. One more time. I know that. How many of you are know-it-alls? Go ahead. It's okay. Raise your hand. Come on, Judy. Raise your hand. Swallow your pride and just throw that away and say, you know something? I'm never ever going to say those three words again. I know that. Because if you do, you stoop below your brilliance. And you don't allow, think about it. When you know everything, do you have any opportunity to grow? Getting better? So that's the whole thing that you have to do in the beginning is begin to understand that you don't know everything. And if you did, you probably wouldn't be here on this planet, right? So, I found that when you talk about brilliance, you talk about learning, it's not really the answers that you have and knowing it all, it's the questions that you ask. I really believe that the quality of your questions are the quality of your life. So I have a few questions that I have for you today. I was thinking about this all night. I got finished with this presentation about 7 o'clock this morning. I said, you know something, maybe I'll take a 30-minute nap and get over there to the presentation. And the first thing I thought of, and you do this when you have sleep deprivation, where does all the white go when the snow melts? There was a delay there. You guys did this. Question number 2. Some people are still thinking about that. I saw some white in the parking lot. My driveway. That's from the salt, actually. The other is, why do they have in drive-through ATMs Braille? Never delay, but you guys got it. Seems to make you go, And then my third question to you is, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a football field? If you laughed at that, you're dating yourself, right? 1, 2. Everybody knows the answer to that, right? So today I want to take you guys on a little trip. Now, I like traveling. I've been to London with the Broncos. I've been to Germany twice. I've been to Tokyo, Japan. I've been to Caribbean islands. I've been to a lot of great places. I want to take you on a trip, but anybody have a passport? Who has a passport? Oh, yeah. We're going to love this trip. We're actually not going to leave our seats, though. You know how hellacious it was getting up that elevator and getting everybody in here, so it's going to take a while. So I just want you to take a trip right now with me, right where you are, to our comfort zone. Anybody ever been there? Comfort zone. So what is our comfort zone? Our comfort zone is where we are, where most of us live. It's cool. There's no obstacles. There's no challenges. You know, in our comfort zone, we're just chillaxing. That's another made-up word. Don't Google that. Actually, you can Google that, and it'll say relaxing and chilling at the same time. Anybody do that? It's not easy. It's kind of like walking and chewing gum. So in your comfort zone, so our comfort zone is where we are. It's where you guys are sitting. It's where we are right now. And every now and then, whether by choice or by happenstance, we get to go out into the discomfort zone. And what happens in a discomfort zone, right? Is there what happens in a discomfort? Participation's okay. Fear, anxiety, you sweat, stress. So when you're in that discomfort zone, what happens over time? You become comfortable. You broaden your comfort zone and you become comfortable in that new thing. What used to be a new thing, like tying your shoe. Was anyone ever uncomfortable at 2 or 3 tying your shoe? Can you remember? All right, I'm talking to the wrong crowd. Let me see. Let me think of something else. How about driving a car? So for 15 years, you ride in the passenger seat, and everything's cool. And then at 15, your parents give you the car keys, and what happens? I mean, you're white knuckling, you're looking at the line. I used to try to line up the corner of the car to the white line. It's like, if I'm just keeping on that white line. Oh, you got the car! Yeah, it's crazy. But after a while, what are you doing? You're driving, you're eating a hamburger, combing your hair, and you're on your cell phone all at the same time. Anybody driving like that? I think Patrick, where's Josh at? Josh and Patrick, I think, have the record for the most tickets in leadership. They keep the attorneys well occupied. So now we get to that discomfort zone, and then, you know, there's about 5% of people that can go there and live there, but there's only about 3% of people that will step out there on the skinny branches. Careful, to the panic zone. I mean, woo! You can't stay out there long, right? Because you get out there in the adventure zone or the panic zone, and what happens? What can happen there? Help me out with this one. What? You can fall on your face. Anything else? You get hurt? Be embarrassed. Be embarrassed. Can you shut down in the panic zone? Do you see people shut down in the panic zone? You ever watch any Broncos? No, never mind. I said I wasn't going to go there. I'm a loving Broncos. They were so set up. I mean, they had the number one. All right, no. But what else can happen in the panic zone? You can have quantum leaps of learning. You can have quantum leaps of growth. Here's one of the ingredients I found that you need to have when you hit that panic zone. If you can have support, it's awesome. It's awesome. That's why I had everybody massage each other's shoulders. Because when you become a family, you become a team. One of the things I did learn from my 9 years in the NFL is the power of a team. In a team, there's a synergy that happens. That when you get in the panic zone, there's no problems. We have 98 and a half. Actually, it's going to be like 101 yards when I have grandchildren for the drive, right? Let's do this. You know, there's no panic at all because everybody's believing. You get me? Are you with me on that? So that's where we are. That's where we're going, and that's what we want to do. We want to grow. And as we grow and we support each other, then we've got a chance to be really, really successful, right? So here's what I want you to do. Raise your hand as high as you can. Now raise it a little higher. Why didn't you just do that in the first place? I asked you to raise it higher. No. Who am I working with here? Man, help me, man. That's what we do. That's what we do as human beings is we don't really know what our limits are. And then when we reach for more, what happens? When I say reach a little higher, what'd you do? You did it. Congratulations! Give yourself a hand. Yeah, you know, I think one of the big problems is when you look about growing and you think about reaching for that edge, I call it the edge, it's uncomfortable at first. But if you stick around for a little while, you can actually begin to grow into who you are and what you're supposed to be. Now, we talked about, Wally did at least, in his life where he was as far as growth goes. So he's in a pretty crappy situation. Would you agree? How many people have been in prison? And no, don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand. Okay. Look straight ahead. As Les said, not all of us had the opportunity to spend that many years behind bars. But what happens when you're in that crappy situation is you get into a place where you can look at what is. And what I want you guys to do today is, remember, you're going to eliminate those 3 words. I know that, so we can increase our teachability index in whatever we do. Can you learn from your kids even? Yes. You can learn from anybody, any day, if you're just open to do it. And the other thing I want you to do is understand is, we're not going to live in the what is anymore. He's talking about Napoleon Hill. I'm well read with the Napoleon Hill and T.R. Becker and Stephen Covey and all the Zig Ziglar is one of my favorite motivational guys. Jim Rohn passed away as well. We have a lot of guys that are passed away now, so guys like Wally get to step up and up the game. So it's cool to hear from him. What we get to do is we get to not live in what is, but live in what we want, right? What we want it to be. So I call that acting. Because when you're doing something that's not you, what are you doing? Acting. So you're looking at people in Hollywood. Who's the best actor in Hollywood? Tom Cruise? Keanu Reeves?
Denzel Washington.
No, Denzel Washington. She said, who's the best actress in Hollywood? Remember, I like that. So what do? Here's what you can do. You don't have to be on the stage. You don't have to put on the makeup and act crazy or shoot people in dog day afternoon or anything like that. But you can act, and that's what Wally was saying basically. That's what Napoleon Hill was saying, was write it in the present tense. And when you're acting, you're in that present tense, right? And you can go from acting to actuality. It's another word I just made up. So, you got that. Go from acting to actuality. So here's something that we want to do is we want to create more value or second income of value. So we kind of concluded that we're not going to find an instrument that's going to pay us 100% return. So the other option that we have is to create a second income to accommodate for that. And here's something that I just started doing some numbers, something real simple, $1,500 a month, right? What would that do for you, $1,500 a month? So a savings account. So to earn $1,500 a month in a savings account, that's $18,000 a year. At 2%, you'd have to have saved $900,000 to put into that account. Anybody save $900,000 yet? Anybody gonna do it in the next year or two? It might take about 36 years for some of us to do that, right? How about this, in an investment account? So to earn that same $18,000 and you're able to get 10%, which means that basically you're a loan shark. You're doing some hard money lending right now. But if you could get 10%, you would need to invest $180,000. And for employment, for many people to get that $18,000, it could take several years to dedicated service with your employer to get a raise. How many people got a raise last year? 3, all right! Better. We're going to show you how to get rid of that problem, right? And then finally, financial freedom. So that extra income of $1,500 a month could cover car payments, it could be a down payment on a credit card. You could do a lot of things. And what you can do with that is actually create a better lifestyle. And how many people would like to have a better lifestyle? So let's not just talk money. Let's talk a little bit about lifestyle, right? So I went on the internet, which is where you do everything now, right? But you love Google. Who Googles? Anybody? Nobody Googles? You can ask Google anything. What's the size of my brother's left pinky toe? Type that into Google. Watch. Something will come up. There'll be like 760,000 responses to that. Well, who's your brother? Before or after he stubbed it. It's crazy. So I'm looking at these different things that you can do. Taking paid surveys at home. Anyone's ever done that? That was number 1. Yeah? Awesome. Can you hook me up with that? Because that's got to be the coolest job we find. No? Not really? Do y'all make any money? All right. eBay store. Who's doing eBay? Got a few eBay people out here. I always wanted to know how you do it, because I got some old Bronco cleats and people are crazy. They'll buy your shoestrings. There's a Mark Jackson shoestrings, you know, eBay. You can start an online business. I mean, to me, that's just too much brain work, but, you know, there's people that do that. I know a guy. Where's James Holmes? Is he here? James, if you want to start an online business, like, yes, stand up, James. There he is.
Here he is.
Realtor. We have any realtors? I mean, I remember there was a time in Denver, everybody would raise their hand, right? You remember that? I had a real estate license. All right. Website designer, virtual assistant, graphic artist, freelance writer, sell a product, and finally, a home-based business. So, what we need to do, and what I would suggest that you do, is to start with the end in mind. And, you know, I think it was Yogi Berra that said it. He said, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up somewhere else. Where's my drum roll guy? It's a tough crowd. It's getting late in the day. Like, Mark, you gotta come better than that, bro. So here's our game plan. Here's some of the things that you can do to create multiple streams of income. So we've been talking about multiple streams of income. Here's some of the things you can do. You have a working income from a job. Anyone have a job? Oh, we do have a pretty bad crowd. There's 3 people there. So yeah, you have a job. And you know, we don't suggest that you quit your job. I don't suggest that you quit your job. Keep your job, because jobs help you do what? Pay bills. That's pretty much what I've concluded that jobs do. I mean, I wish I had a residual for every time I show the freaking drive. My son texted me last night at 12:30 in the morning. He said, Dad, I just saw you on the drive. That's pretty cool. I texted back, did I catch the ball this time? They show that so many times. Like, you get a nickel for every time they show that. I think that's the residual income. But no, working income is what? It's linear income. So if you have a spouse that works as well, you can't have, that's 2 streams of income, but what are you still relying on? Income from a job, right? If unemployment and all the doom and gloom stuff that I showed earlier, the volatility of the market, if there's anything that we know now, there's not a lot of security in a job, right? I think we can all agree on that. There's some people that have had jobs for 15 years, God bless them. But there's no guarantee that you're going to have that job tomorrow. So that's not great. Savings, something that we all should do. How many people have a savings account? It's an awesome room. Awesome room. So T.R. Becker says that you go from your income, out of your income, you take a part of that income and you put it into savings and long-term savings. And then once you save up enough money, you get to what? Invest. Anybody have any investments? Hopefully not in the market. In the market, you're investing in. Okay, it's investing in some real estate right now. And then passive income. That's my favorite. Passive income is that mailbox money, that residual income. It's the money that you earn long after the initial efforts are done. And when you have passive income, you really have an opportunity for success and financial freedom. You get to simplify as well. So I put that last because most people aren't very good at that. We live in an instant gratification microwave society, right? We want it now. You know, the movie's about to start. Put that in the microwave, man. We need some popcorn. You want those juice, honey? Charge it! You know, that's where we live. Simplification simply means living below your means. Can we agree to that? But just for, for a few months here, kind of like Les said, let's just take little baby steps, just like Julie said. Let's just, instead of eliminate and make ourselves miserable, just take little pieces and simplify a bit. But I learned this equation from my friend Matt. Financial freedom, which you can't see. See, this is where I blew it as my own slide producer. Can you read that? That says financial freedom. Passive income is when your passive income is greater than your expenses. Anybody there yet? So you have mailbox money, money that comes in every month that actually covers all of your expenses. That's the goal for financial freedom. And then there's my Yogi Berra quote at the bottom. I think I'm done, but I got one last thing I want to share with you guys, which is like really cool. There's only going to be one time in your life where everybody's going to gather around to say good things about you. It's one time. You guys know this time, right? You're laying flat on your back. The preacher's looking down at you saying, he was a good man. He's a dead man, but he's a good man. And at that time, you have two things that you get to think about as you land in that coffin. You guys are getting better. You got the time of this. I'm taking you with me. Let's do this on the road. The two things that you get to think about is, I wish I would have, or I'm glad I did. So today you have an opportunity to say, I'm glad I did, and not say, I wish I would have. Thanks for coming out.